Hey guys, this is Rob with ADTRAN Support, and in this quick 5-minute video I'm going to show you how to configure a NetBanner 3430 SBC. The same configuration would also work for any of our SBC products. I already have my PBX configured. It has a SIP trunk pointing to the ADTRAN, and then I also already have my service provider soft switch configured, and it's pointing to the ADTRAN as well. Also, all of the data interfaces, all the routing and everything is already configured. All we're going to do is add voice. I really want to show you guys how easy this is. There's nothing to be intimidated by. Anybody can do it. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and get into enable mode and then global config. And I like to start by configuring all of the global options. So we're going to start with the transfer mode and the forward mode, and this is how we recommend configuring the ADTRAN for SIP trunking applications. This affects how the ADTRAN handles transfers and call forwards. Then we're going to turn on the symmetric filter. This helps us block unsolicited RTP traffic. And then also we're going to go ahead and turn on media anchoring. All right. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and enable both of our routed interfaces for SIP. And so let's go ahead and do that. By adding the media gateway IP primary command, that tells us that we can send and receive SIP traffic on this interface, and we can also use this interface IP address for STP offers and answers. So we're going to go and do the same thing on Ethernet 2. Ethernet 2 I have facing the PBX, and Ethernet 1 is facing the provider SIP trunk. Okay, simple as that. Now we need to go ahead and configure our trunks. So we're going to do voice trunk T01, and the first time you configure it, you have to actually type in type SIP, but every other time you can just do voice trunk T01 or whatever the trunk number is. And then we're going to go ahead and put the SIP server address. And I've got an FQDN already configured there. And then we're going to go into voice trunk T02 type SIP, again just for the first time you configure it. And I'm going to put my IP address of my PBX. Alright, there's a few other options we need to put on the trunk facing the PBX, again to handle the transfers properly, so that all refers that need to go back to the PBX are sent back to the PBX. And then also we want to make sure that the from host shows up as being the ADTRAN's IP address so that the PBX will allow calls from it. And that's it. Now we need to tell the ADTRAN the phone numbers to use to route calls, or the called party number patterns to look for so that we can route calls properly. So we're going to go to create a voice trunk group. We'll create one called PSTN that will tie the SIP trunk facing the provider to. And we're going to do any 10-digit number pattern to go to it. And then we're going to do one, we'll call this PBX. Tie that to trunk T02, and then inbound calls, we'll say it will send 4-digit patterns to it. And that is it. So let's go ahead and try to place a test call. We'll go ahead and turn on debug SIP stack messages summary and debug voice summary. These are great debugs to use for testing calls. Goes a call. All right, I've got two-way audio. Go ahead and turn the debugs off, and you can see here we got an invite coming in from the PBX. Trying back to the PBX, I can see the call was routed from T02 out to the PSTN trunk, and I send the invite out to the PSTN trunk. I get a 100 trying back. 180 ringing from the provider side. I send it off to the PBX. At that point, they hear ring back. And here's where the called party out on the PSTN answers. We get a 200 OK. We send that to the PBX. You can see that the call is connected. We get an ACK back from the PBX, and we send it back to the provider. Just like that, you guys can see that configuring an SBC, any of you can do it in under 5 minutes. There's a few documents linked below that gives more details if you have any further questions.